What's going on, guys? Dustin with Custom Offsets, and today I'm joined by the one and only Josh from Trailbuilt.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Josh from Trailbuilt, and I am so happy to be here, Dustin. What are we talking about today?
So today we've got a really fun video for you guys. We had a couple of comments asking what was the best off-road / overlander truck, and being that we're show truck guys predominantly, I figured there was only one person to loop into this this video, of course, and that is the Josh from Trailbuilt.
Well, I am no expert by any means, but I will definitely do my best. I'll have probably a whole variety of different things we'll talk about today.
This should be fun, I think. We haven't been on camera a lot together, but I am super excited. Before we get into that, though, if you need wheels, tires, or suspension for your show truck, you can find that at customoffsets.com. If you're looking for wheels, tires, or suspension for your off-road rig, you can find that at trailbuiltoffroad.com.
That's right.
So we got a little bit of everything. So, yeah, I think let's...
Where do you want to start?
Best mudding truck.
I picked the K1500, right?
Okay.
Partially because I remember growing up, and when I was a kid, that was like the relevant off-road truck, was like the OBS Chevy K1500. That guys were putting stupid lifts on and tractor tires and sending them through the mud, and it was pretty rowdy. So like, I think that, and then coupled with the fact that they actually make decent mud trucks because they come with the 5.7 from the factory. Lift kits are relatively cheap. You can put a big tire in there, you know.
Yeah.
They just make good, and the truck itself is cheap, so you can beat the piss out of it in the mud and nobody will really care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Just when it breaks down, you got to pull it out of the mud.
Well,
That's the part
mean,
that sucks.
That, you know.
What do you want?
If we're talking best mudding truck, God, there's a lot of them out there. However, I think I have to go with a 79 Ford Highboy.
That's a solid choice.
Yeah. I think one is, you know, they were kind of built for that sort of terrain, and they had, and I gotta try to remember. I think it was a Ford 460 that came in the 79 Highboy. I could be wrong there, but you got high horsepower. You got solid axles underneath, leaf sprung suspension. I mean, that baby was built to go through the mud. So, and they just look cool. I love that old nostalgic style of the 79 Highboys, and I think if I had to pick like an old mudding rig to go with that was rebuilt, I would go, you know, with something like that.
That would be rowdy.
Yeah.
Best rock crawler.
I think if we're talking like something built from the factory, I think, there's a lot of different options out there. Maybe something with like Unimog axles, portal axles, something like that for that ground clearance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we're talking like built buggies, like you have the Southeastern guys that are running these rock bouncers, high horsepower, 44-inch tires that will dig just about anything up, solid axles, the whole works, flexi suspension. I mean, there's...
Let's just stop and talk about for a moment before we go forward.
The rock bouncer guys?
The rock bouncer guys, dude. Because we're talking 44s, but like the tire comes halfway up the door because they sit down in the axles and then they climb walls that are completely vertical.
And there's some of them like Timmy Cameron, and just to name one, obviously the probably one name that stands out the most. But there's a few guys that we follow on the socials, and I mean, these things, they have the craziest and awesomest technology in them just to build them so that they're virtually indestructible, but they have to. I mean, you're running all of that horsepower. I know they're trying to make them as light as possible, but with those big rubber meats on there, they're spinning those at the most RPMs they can, and stuff's flying everywhere, and they're just bouncing off the rocks. The suspension is trying to absorb as much as it can, and they're flipping them over all over the place. They got built cages and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So the rock bouncing group is pretty awesome to watch. But of course, you can't just go out and buy one of those from the factory. Although there are some companies out there that do, you know, custom fabricate chassis for the rock bouncing group for rock crawlers. So, long story short, there's a lot of options.
There is, yeah. I guess for me, if I had to pick one truck to build into a rock crawler, rock bouncer, whatever you guys call them, I picture like Brent's square body. Rowdier, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and Brent's square body's pretty rowdy the way it is, but like, I think a regular cab short box square body is a really good chassis that you could start with there. You know, you have parts readily available. You already have the solid axle stuff going on there for you, so you know you're off to a great start regardless. And then with a little TLC, maybe an LS swap here and there, and next thing you know, you're climbing walls.
Yeah. I mean, there's we could go on, I think, for probably another hour on different types of really good factory-built rock crawlers. Jeep Wrangler Rubicons is a good one.
Yeah.
You know, anything that has some flexi suspension, sort of lightweight, robust drivetrain from the factory, and you know, and then a good spotter really helps too, to get you through the rocks. But yeah, that's definitely an open-ended question there.
Yeah, we'd be here all day.
Best midsize off-roader.
Whew, that's another open-ended question. I mean, Jeep Wrangler, Toyota Tacoma, Toyota 4Runner. There's, you know what would be really cool is a Toyota Hilux diesel.
Oh, that'd be
That
neat.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Land Rover Defenders. There's another. How do you just narrow it down to one though? That's the
But
thing.
there is one.
There is
Ready
one.
for this? Ready for me to
I don't know if I'm ready for this. Let's go.
Jeep XJ.
Cherokee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one.
The XJ is like, to me, is like the pinnacle of midsize off-road trucks. I mean, and again, maybe it's just the generation I grew up in, but me and my buddies I didn't have them, but my buddies had a couple of XJs on lift kits, and we used to get together every weekend and just run the river back and forth. Like it.
Yeah, you're right. And that it did cross my mind at one point when I was talking about it, and then I forgot about it. But the Cherokee is just one. It's something about the Cherokee, even compared to a Grand Cherokee of the same year.
Yeah.
You're looking at the Cherokee XJs, 90 or 80, whatever. I can never remember, but the XJs with the 4-liter, especially the high output 4-liter in them, you could just go out and pin the throttle, keep it floored all day long, and the thing would never blow up or break. You do the same thing to the same year Grand Cherokee, and you'd have parts laying all over the place.
Knock, who's there? Cylinder 3.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, rear axles breaking in their C-clip axles. And
Mine?
Hello?
But yeah, I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, the XJ is just such a solid little Jeep, and like you said, you could beat the ever-living piss out of them, and they just took it. You know?
Yeah, and that's similar to like the older Toyota little pickup trucks that were 4-wheel drive too.
Yeah.
Just same thing, just lightweight. You could just, you know, beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, like the old T100s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Best overlanding rig.
Best overlanding.
Ooh, this is another one that you could take so many directions. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you could go anything. 4Runner.
Brad says 4Runner. I don't know if you guys can't. Brad's back there. He says 4Runner is the answer always.
Yeah, you could go from, you know, an older generation Mercedes Unimog machine or a Tacoma, or even if you're not going to be going down any tight trails, like one of the super crazy expensive Earth Roamers XVs, or even the XV HDs. I mean, there's
I've even seen some guys that are doing more like desert overlanding, or are even starting to get into like 3rd-gen Rams and like full-size trucks that they're taking overlanding.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, that's a solid option too.
And I think a lot of that is demographics specific. If you're, you know, up here in Wisconsin, you have some pretty tight trails you got to fit down to get to some of these camp spots, and you know, it's not always ideal to bring a full-size truck unless you're really, you know, okay with a lot of pinstriping. But you know, I think one of the trucks that really stands out is the Toyota Tacoma. I think you get the reliability, which is probably the biggest part of overlanding, is just making sure your vehicle is going to get from point A to point B.
Can you get
and
there
then
and
C
get home?
and D, and yeah, exactly, and you know, parts availability and things like that, and then two, to have that, you know, robustness or that strength of that vehicle, to hold up to your gear and all the other things that you're going to be doing with it, and plus, not to mention going overland or off-roading, and plus with the Tacomas, you can get the Pro versions, you can get the lockers, you can get the gearing. I mean, the things are set up pretty nice, the skid plates, all that good stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. It's funny, Brad mentioned it actually before, but when I looked at, like, if I had no budget and just had to pick an Overlander, there's not much out there that checks more boxes than the Land Cruiser for me.
Land Cruiser, yeah.
You know, and the Land Cruiser is such an iconic design too, because it's been very similar styled for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
But they look good, they perform well, they're pretty reliable. Now parts availability maybe isn't quite as nice as what you get with your Tacomas and stuff.
Nice,
you know.
as in budget. I mean, you get that Land Cruiser tax on there, and
correct.
You know, it's like the Lexus too. You know, you get the like the GS 460 and 470 and whatever. You know, it's basically a Land Cruiser, but you have that Lexus tax. But but yeah.
Best overall off-roading truck.
So just one. We only
one.
Okay.
You only get one to do all sorts of off-roading, overland, everything. You got to pick one truck.
And here's where I'm going to get a lot of you guys going, why would you pick that? But then I'm going to get a lot of you guys going, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But you know what it would be?
What?
the 2005, 2006 Jeep Wrangler LJ. It's a
Okay.
Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon.
Okay.
So it's got a little bit longer wheelbase for stability out on the trails than your regular like TJ or regular Wrangler. Lockers, both front and rear. It's got upgraded Dana 44 axles. It's got a 4-to-1 gearing in the transfer case, skid plates. And with the LJs being a little bit longer, in fact, their wheelbase is about 10 to 15 inches, whatever it is, longer than the regular Wranglers. I think it ends up at about 103 inches or so.
The fact that you know all of this just blows my mind. I'm just sitting here trying to retain as much as possible.
Well, it's like the perfect wheelbase for the rock crawling to trail riding, and it's not too long where you can't turn as sharp out in the trails, but yet short enough that it can get you around and maneuver pretty well. And
Correct.
Then with that extra wheelbase, you get a little extra cargo carrying capacity in the back. So, and you can still turn it into a convertible. Still has the factory roll cage, which isn't as good as like a really good built aftermarket roll cage, but still you have all of those different features built into one vehicle, and they only made them for 2005 and 2006. So.
Yeah.
I think that adds on to it too. So,
Yeah.
And not to mention all the different aftermarket support for them too. So,
Correct.
I think that's what I would go with.
Josh be over here laying out years and makes and models and wheelbase specs, and I'm over here like
Tacoma go brrr.
For me, this one was really simple, and maybe it's a little bit of personal bias coming into this one, where I look at like the style of overlanding or car camping. That I do a lot of car camping now, actually. Before I bought the Duramax, I was taking the GTI and throwing the tent in the back and all the stuff, and we'd go out and
hit the
and
trails
camp.
and go.
Yeah. But for me, I think if I had to pick one truck to do it all, I would go Tacoma for literally all the reasons that you spelled in the last bit there. I mean, they're reliable, they're dependable. The aftermarket support is huge on those trucks. They're narrow enough to get down most of the trails. They're long enough wheelbase that you can take them out into the desert and not feel super under equipped for that. They're just good trucks overall.
Yeah.
I see guys like Mike from Last Line of Defense, who's always out there with his, or Brandon Jordan had that Tacoma for a while before he bought that Tundra. So
Yeah, a lot of different guys that we follow, even on the socials and YouTube and everything else, run Tacomas as well, and they are just really reliable vehicle built, to be robust and hold up to the abuse and the elements, and still be able to load them up with gear, the aftermarket support. So yeah, I definitely I think if it wasn't for the the Wrangler LJ Rubicon, it would be the Tacoma as well.
I think you just want to say LJ because it sounds cool.
LL Cool J? No, just LJ.
What? All right, now we're getting sidetracked. There you have it, guys. There is our picks for the best overlanding and off-roading vehicles. What do you guys think? Who was more right, me or Josh? Let us know down in the comment section below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep making videos like this one. And of course, stop by and check out Trailbuilt over at their YouTube and on the website. They do some pretty awesome stuff. So
yeah, and a lot more to come too. We're still growing. We got a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome, pretty exciting, and we got a lot more stuff in the works. So pretty cool.
Well, thanks for stopping by, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I definitely appreciate it. And again, good to see all you guys. And that's about it.
I'm waiting for we'll see you guys on the trail.
Yeah. Well, I was waiting for your
Let's get out of here.
So,
bye, Brad.
All right, guys. Well,
Bye, Dad.
we'll see you guys out on the trail.